So the reason you're depressed, the reason you are angry is because your expectations are not realistic. We live in a sex-obsessed culture, a material-obsessed culture. And so this culture is an illusion, okay? Now, this wasn't prevalent 100 years ago, but it is now. And so the reason you're depressed is because your expectations are not realistic. Life is not about that. That's an illusion. The stuff that you see, The Bachelorette, these men that you see on The Bachelorette, okay, that's an illusion. That doesn't exist. When the camera goes off, those people go home. Some of them have families that they go to, and so you're not getting your way. Your expectations, you're not meeting your expectations because your expectations are an illusion. And it's the materialism, it's the material things, the material wants, things you can actually touch that are an illusion. And so unfortunately, we're not learning our lessons here. And so the reason depression rates and anxiety and bipolarism are on the rise is because our expectations have changed. Our expectations are an illusion. And also community is gone. Small community is gone. We're insulated by our materialism. And so the reason you can't find connection with people, the reason you can't find community with people is because you don't know how to communicate, because the schools never taught you how to communicate with people. And so texting, this is not communicating. Talking with people on social media, this is not actual communication. Okay? You're not going to get your daily dose of community, whatever the word is, by texting with people. I mean, you're just not. I mean, if you go on a dating site and you text 20 people, and then the next day you're texting 20 more people, but at the end of the day, you're still you're still there, you're still by yourself, you still have no deep connection with anybody. The reason that is because we live in a culture where our expectations are just out of the realm of possibilities, and this is a problem, especially with men. I'm not really sure about the women's side, but you're not going to find love just going on a dating site. You're not going to find community swiping left, swiping right. It's just not going to happen. That's not the world we live in. It never was the world that we lived in. So, I try to tell people, and I try to tell younger people, you have to learn to speak in public. You have to learn to communicate with people, because a lot of people don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to meet people. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't walk up to a stranger and put out their hand and say, "Hey, I'm Jay. I'm from this area of the country. Where are you from? What's your name?" Most people don't know how to do that. And the reason they don't know how to do that is because they're insecure with themselves. And they're insecure with the people around them. They feel like they have no self-worth. They feel like they're not worth a damn because they've listened to what society's told them. They've listened to what society's conditioned them to think. And as soon as you realize, hey, listen, I have worth. I have value. I am a unique individual. Every individual has a unique ability. Every individual brings something to the table. It's just that society's conditioned people to think that they're worthless. And there are many reasons why that is. And I write about it all the time. I write books about it. I have a website. I have a blog. I have a lot of articles on this. I've dedicated my life to this. Okay, I've given up a lot. I've given up a $60,000 a year job to do this because I felt like I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. So I gave up the materialism, right? I gave up the security of that 9-to-5 job, filled with stress, filled with letdowns, filled with anxiety, filled with those negative emotions that consumed me for so long. I was consumed by negative emotions. And I still have negative emotions. And, it's funny because I can now see the people who are unhappy when I go out. I can tell the people who are unhappy. I can tell the people who have that blue pill conditioning because I used to have it. I used to chase all this crap. I used to chase all these feelings. I used to chase all these women, chase all these drugs, chase all this temporary materialism crap. And at the end of the day, I didn't get the results that I wanted. And, I had to make a change. I had to be honest. That's another thing. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with the people around you because people can tell when you're faking. People can tell when you're full of shit. So, you need to learn how to speak in public. You need to be able to meet strangers, not on the internet, in real life. That is key. You have to be able to be unique, be yourself. You have to be able to communicate. And if you're fake, people can tell. People can tell when you're fake. So you have to be honest. That's number one. If you want to speak in public, if you want to become a great public speaker, you have to be honest when you speak. You can't be full of shit because people realize that. People can tell when somebody is full of shit. And so when you speak, you have to speak from the heart. That's number one about public speaking. Now, you have to unplug yourself from the matrix. That's what I call it. Unplugging from the matrix. Taking the red pill. A lot of these men's groups will say you have to learn to take the red pill, right? And I can tell people who are still plugged into the matrix, And this is the point of why I'm writing. And this is the point of my writings. This is the point of my feed, of my ideas, of the different videos I put out, is unplug yourself from the matrix. Get out of that rat race. If the rat race is letting you down, then stop. Get out of it. Change your surroundings. Go to a different city. Go to a different town. This is America. You can go to a homeless shelter if you have nowhere to live. You're not going to die. Food and water is always going to be there. And so if you're unhappy, if you're that unhappy, because I see a lot of people who are really unhappy, unplug yourself from that matrix, and realize there's more to life than consumerism. There's more to life than sex. There's more to life than what you thought life was about. Okay, we live in a sex-obsessed culture, and I think people they think too much about it. And when they go out and they try to meet people, they're that materialism, because sex is material. Sex is temporary. Spiritualism is on the other end of the spectrum. You have materialism on one side, you have spiritualism on the other. Material, things you can touch, things you can see, these are on the material end of the spectrum, and sex is one of them. So you need to let go of that. Let go of all that, Let go of the material. Because the material world is temporary. The material world is stressful. it is needed. You need to have some type of materialism, but we live in such a sex-obsessed culture now that it's leaving people unhappy. It's leaving people with unrealistic expectations. I know I was one of them. And the definition of insanity is chasing doing the same thing, expecting different results. So if you're doing the same thing constantly, you're going to get the same results, So my advice to people who are unhappy: unplug yourself from the matrix. Now, some people can't do that. I understand. Some people have obligations and stuff. And we all have obligations. I have obligations. So some people have more obligations than the other, but there are things you can do. You can go downtown. You can volunteer. Help the homeless, help the people who are down and out. You can do things in your community to actually help your community that's not money-based, okay? But know that if you're chasing money, you're chasing that hustle, that part of life is needed, but there has to be balance. There has to be something else besides that in your life. And if you don't have a balance between that, between money and between spirits, between ideas, between belief system, between culture, between values, if you don't have some sense of that, if you don't have some sense of both of those, you're going to be unhappy. And that's the bottom line. So, thank you guys. Like, comment, share. Get the message out. You guys know my website. Go to my website. Sign up. You'll get a free newsletter in your mailbox once a week. And get the word out. Okay, thanks.